Crafty Clan. It's a Saturday. It's Etsy News. Let's dive into it. So, first things first, I think Brian from eRank spotted this for us with the new change to offers. If you don't remember, we spoke about this last week, where now offers have changed. So instead of you mailing out an offer, well, Etsy mailing out an offer on your behalf that basically people were copying, people were sending to their friends, people were using all the time, there is a sort of caveat to this that some people might not like, in that you can't cancel offers. But let me explain. First of all, it says when an eligible shopper adds your item to their cart and doesn't check out, they'll get an email with your offer. Eligible shoppers have opted in to receive for eligible shoppers who've opted to receive Etsy marketing emails. The offer expires 60 days after it's sent. Buyers can be sent an abandoned cart offer again if they don't have one that's active that's been 30 days since they redeemed the offer. Buyers can only use each offer once and can't share. So that's kind of good. The offer expires after 30 days. They don't get, well, not even spam. They can't get tons and tons and tons of offers from you. They can't share it, they can only use it once. But what Brian noticed, I totally missed this. If you have an offer running just in the old style and you decided that the offer wasn't working for you, you can cancel that offer at any time, and everybody who's been sent a link, that just no longer works. That coupon is no longer active. But with this, everybody who's received an offer, their offer expires 60 days after it's sent. So if you decided that this wasn't working for you, you'd had a sudden influx and it was actually kind of hurting your business, or you just were fed up with it, you can stop Etsy sending out any more emails, but you'll have 60 days where they can still redeem your offer. I know most people won't mind this, but I thought it was an important thing to say. Even if you've cancelled it, people will still be able to use your offer for up to 60 days afterwards. UK sellers shipping discount. So up until April the 14th, middle of next month, Etsy's offering steeper discounts for sellers in the UK through Every. So we'll save 15p per light parcel and 41p per heavier parcel. And save 10% on heavy parcels to some of the rest of the world, which sounds kind of good, but I get why Every's pushing this. Now, people's experience with Every, which is a shipping company, it's very hit and miss. It depends where you live. Currently, the courier that delivers to me is quite good. The person that works for Every is quite good. But in the past, I've ordered some things and generally my heart used to fall. You get the message going, Every has your parcel, and you'd be like, kill me now. And the worst one I ever got, and check what Every does with your international parcels, because this was a thing. The parcel was coming, the parcel was coming, the parcel was coming. And it kept getting delayed. It said, oh, it'll come in this time window. No, it won't. It'll come in this time window. No, it won't. And it didn't come in the day that it was supposed to come in. And it says, oh, we'll tell you what's happening with it. We'll tell you what's happening with it. And then the next day we'll attempt to deliver again. This time, no, it'll be later, it'll be later, it'll be later. And then the next day I got a message saying, we tried to deliver, you weren't in, contact Every. Basically, now I was in, they didn't attempt to deliver, but I contacted Every, which said my parcel was being returned because I hadn't been in. So I contacted the company I'd ordered from, and the company I'd ordered from informed me that no, Every didn't send the parcels back. The parcels were destroyed because it was too expensive for them to send them back, because they've been saving money. Like, if you post by Royal Mail around the entire world, if it doesn't make it to the person, or it's delayed, or it's denied at customs or whatever, it comes back to you free of charge. With Every, this is what I was told, they were just destroying the parcel, and the company said to me that there was no recompense. It was my fault for not being in. I was just going to lose the money. So, yeah, I kind of went not a bit happy. I'd paid through PayPal, so I disputed it with PayPal, got my money back, and I've never used that company again. But yeah, that's a reason why I don't like Every. And you'll have noticed in black I've added a little bit here. For anyone who didn't realise, Every used to be Hermes. Hermes had such a bad reputation. Everybody pretty much hated Hermes. And then there was allegations of parcel mishandling. It hit the news. 2022, it was so bad. So what did they do? They changed their name. They totally rebranded. They were so bad that they had to rebrand and pretend to be a different country. So company. So if you didn't know, Avery used to be Hermes. If it's working for you, great, but first of all, find out what happens for returns and parcels that can't be delivered, and be aware. Although it might be perfect in your location, if a courier in a different location isn't so good, customers might be having issues, and deal with the fact you might be having more issues than you were before. That's my thought. But let me know what you've all found with Every. Chatbots. Eatsy's developing chatbots to help shoppers narrow search. This was reported on e-commerce bites. Yeah, kind of made sense. It's sort of like, an expansion of everything else they're doing. I think they've mentioned it before. So we've already got in the gift mode thing where they're going, what type of person's this for? And you check some boxes and it returns some rubbish things. So it looks like they're going to throw in a bit more AI integration so that the buyer can describe the things. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could help with ideas and stuff, but yeah, we'll see. It's going to be awful when it starts, and it might get better. There's no point us really complaining massively about it. If it doesn't work for the buyers, they'll stop using the chatbots. I'm assuming you'll just be able to search as normally, and you'll be able to see the stuff on your homepage, and you'll be able to use gift mode. So people don't have to opt into using the chatbots. But if the chatbots work for the customers, then we as sellers are going to have to flow with this and try and figure out what the chatbots are suggesting, how we can get seen by the chatbots. It's not there yet, so it's just something to think about for the future. Eatsy's doing help with pricing. I think I mentioned this last week or the week before, but it looks like it's rolled out to most places. If you when you're creating a listing, underneath price, you might see a profit estimate where you can click on it and Etsy will give you an idea of the fees and everything. I've checked this with my spreadsheets. That if you didn't see, I made a video a couple of weeks ago on Etsy fees, and I've in the UK, I've plugged the numbers in for some of my actual sales, and it's brought up the exact right number, including everything. And I find that the Etsy estimated fees are slightly higher. I don't know if they're estimating in some ad costs or something. I don't really see anything telling us a whole lot about this, but I don't think it's a bad thing, them estimating fees being slightly higher than they actually are. This is a thing. Sellers absolutely struggle with fees. So many sellers get a nasty surprise that there's any fees at all when they sell something. So I think this is a good idea, and it'll help. And you can even add in your costs. Really good for, we just spoke about print on demand shops. I made a whole video on that. They could put in how much the print on demand shop is taking out as well. Etsy fees. This is only looking into the price. You haven't put in your shipping cost yet as well, so it's possibly overestimating the shipping costs as well. But yeah, not a bad thing. And there's also a new article in the handbook, The Ultimate Guide to Pricing. So it's good. If you haven't checked it out, it's good to think about your pricing. And there even was a link I found for a spreadsheet for calculating your costs and things. So it's cool that Eatsy's doing this. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to cover everything. That's kind of impossible. Had to laugh in my ads. Etsy, your maths is broken. Budget check-in. Now, I've just got the ads on at $1 a day because basically, I just want to be able to check on them and report to you. They're not good for me. But they're saying a boost of $30 could help you grow. So they're encouraging you to spend more in ads. Sellers like you who regularly hit their budget ceiling saw their sales go up by 22% after increasing their ad spend by an average of 30%. Now, how percentages work and everything, I get that if ads were like the old ads, for every $1 I put in advertising, I got $10 back in sales. Then if I increased my ad spend by 30%, I would still be making many, many more times than what my ad spend was. So it would be a good thing. But when ads are very, very, very saturated just now because everybody's panicking. So when times are struggling, people switch on ads. And that means that ads become more and more expensive. And I've talked about before, I've made a video before on how Etsy ads are designed to bid up to a maximum cost per click of basically 1-to-1. For every dollar you spend in ads, on average, you should be making back $1 in your sales. That's not in profit, but just in your sales. That's the ceiling that Etsy thinks is fair. So they're saying if I was spending $100 in ads, I would be making $100 in sales. So if I increased it to $130, I would make $122. That's not the same for everybody, but that's just a thing. So math's broken, Etsy. Currently, I'm not making anything in ads. They're turned on, but it's doing terribly. But based on sales during Etsy funded increased ad spend from August 2023, I didn't know Etsy were doing that. So for some shops, they had their ad spend increased. Now, I am not at all saying that Etsy fudges these results or anything, but Etsy will give us the results from tests they do without ever telling us how they did the tests. So we don't know if they're good tests or they're representative tests or how big tests they were. And as an actual scientist, if someone presents data, we would usually want to go in and review the research paper to see, was this a good test? What can we read into it? So it does. Okay, Etsy has told us this thing's happened. I kind of trust that they run decent tests. They're a big enough company and they've got enough data that they should be, but results not guaranteed. And I dislike these, not for me personally, and not probably for most of you. We see everywhere Etsy saying, you could do this, you could do that, you could do the other thing. But there are many, many, especially new sellers, who see these recommendations and follow them. Etsy told me to do this, so I'm doing this. And they'll keep on doing it. I mean, if you increase your ad budget by 30 cents, next month, what's this thing going to say? It's going to say to increase it again. Even if I've not made a single sale, bet you it'll say to increase it again. So, yeah. Increase by 30%, maybe get 22% more. That only works if you're making a very decent profit already. Anyway, and the internet loses its mind. It was reported. I don't remember where this was reported now. Actually, I should have checked that better. But Etsy quietly adds China to Etsy payment eligibility list via Payoneer partnership. First of all, Chinese people were able to open shops on Etsy up until just a couple of years ago. It's the same like in India. This was a big market that Etsy was pushing for. It was saying it's our next focused market. And then they decided that they wanted to stop any countries using PayPal instead of using Etsy payments. So they announced a couple of months ago that they'd partnered with Payoneer, that people were going to be able to use Payoneer as a third party to be able to use Etsy checkout, Etsy payments, whatever you call it. And there was a ton of countries that were like, look, it's great, Ukrainians, you're going to be able to use this. But then they snuck in, at the beginning of the month, they snuck in China. Now people are losing their mind over this, and you can see, and yeah, it is. For the payment transactions, Chinese people are being charged 6.5%. So they're getting charged quite a lot, as are people in Chile. Fees vary drastically. The internet is losing their mind with, frankly, quite racist things. Now, I get there are a lot of bad companies around around the internet that are selling scammy things. That is very true. For it kind of side rant, it kind of annoys me a little bit that everyone assumes that China is low quality. China is flooding Chinese businesses that are possibly government approved, as it were, are flooding the West with cheaply made things because, newsflash, we're buying them because we're greedy. Um, China wouldn't be doing it if we weren't buying them. If we didn't want these low cost things, they wouldn't be doing them. But I just want a couple of little stories. China has different business practices than us, absolutely. And some of their sweatshops, as it is commonly called, yeah, some of their working conditions aren't great, and that is terrible. Firstly, are you absolutely sure that all the working conditions in your company, in your country, are great? Because I can tell you there's under the radar companies in most countries. I'm in the UK. We're supposed to have some really good labour things. When I was a student, I worked through agencies. I worked in some absolutely dodgy companies, ones that took us on as agency workers to make themselves look legit, but the rest of the people that were employed there were on way, way, way below minimum wage. And yeah, it was all cash in hand off the books payments, and the conditions were awful. I, as a student, was working, I think the longest shift I worked was 22 hours, and we were in again the next day, so 2 hours off, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think we need to fix everything. There's not it's not the greatest, and we were packaging up and working for big companies that believe themselves to be ethical because they didn't know they were contracting out to companies who were doing this kind of thing, and the workers were people like us students at the time. We had no money through the summer, no grants or anything. We had absolutely no money, so we just had to do whatever we had to do. But there's the other things. When I was working in industry, quite often you would be getting components, some from the West and some from China. And we found quite a lot of the time the stuff made at home was breaking more often than the Chinese stuff because they have higher manufacturing quality thingies. And my phone, for years I was using a Huawei phone because it was just better. For the price, it was so much better. So yeah, Chinese stuff's already here, and Chinese stuff is already on Etsy. People are worried, going, oh, Etsy's going to be flooded with Chinese stuff. They're already here, to quote Send in the Clowns. Firstly, I bet myself, I bet if I looked on some of the major print on demand companies, some of the print providers would be from China, and you have to dig in and have a look, and see, are some of your items that you're choosing created in China? They may be printed out locally, but they're shipped in bulk to whoever's doing the printing and then sent out. So you hear it on Etsy all the time, people going, I bought what was supposed to be a handmade mug and it came back with a made in China sticker on the bottom. That's because it was print on demand. The person handmade the design on the mug, but they never saw or touched the mug. It went through these integrations. So a lot of the stuff that's absolutely legal on Etsy and will say manufactured in your country, printed in your country because it's printed in your country, but it was manufactured in China. There's quite a lot comes from there. But the other thing, right, I've hidden the name of the YouTuber, but YouTube is showing me a lot of these kind of channels. And this was advice on, and the title is, This is How Easy Etsy Dropshipping Is. And basically, you can see they're talking about Etsy dropshipping. I'm going to do a rant about that shortly. But they went to a top selling shop. They found the top selling item. They went to, and you can see it, AliExpress, found the top selling item, and they're advising you take that top selling item, you sell it on Etsy for a lower price than the other shop. That is what the internet is currently flooded with the advice. It's not even just use print on demand or whatever, it's use AliExpress to ship things from China. So I don't think it's a bad thing to allow Chinese shops, again, to sell on Etsy, because it's not allowing AliExpress to sell on Etsy. It's not allowing Temu to sell on Etsy. They're against Etsy rules. What we want, and it is not a bad thing to have small crafters from all over the world to sell on Etsy. I have in the past bought my mum, when China was allowed before, I've bought my mum some beautiful handmade from China craft supplies like hand carved knitting needles and things like that. Absolutely wonderful things. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. The problem isn't they're allowing Chinese people to sell on Etsy. The problem is they're allowing things that are against the rules to be sold on Etsy. And the problem is people are advising how you can do this. They've even got, this person even has videos on how to avoid getting your shop shut down if you're drop shipping. And they literally seem to be under the impression that they're not doing anything wrong. Of course, you're moving on. Check your messages. Jan, our roving reporter in Twitter, spotted this. So check your messages. A few people have noticed this, but Etsy is possibly randomly marking messages as spam. I've had different conversations that have been automatically moved to my spam inbox for seemingly no reason. One was brand new and they didn't even see an alert for it. The others were conversations they'd already messaged back on about a custom order. I know I hadn't clicked on anything that would mark it as spam, since one of the convos I hadn't even opened yet. It's happening across multiple Etsy stores of mine. Is this a new spam filter they have that catches certain words? And that could very well be the case. And yes, I totally... It makes sense that Etsy would be automatically spamming things that look dodgy, but it looks like everything, when something new is implemented to try and help things, it will catch things that aren't dodgy as well. So check your Etsy spam messages. This bit of a pain. I checked mine and I'm not seeing anything, so it's hopefully not too big an issue, but definitely worth checking just in case. This from Provoke Media. Etsy elevates Kelly Clausen to Global Comms lead. She was head of corporate communications and community. She's been at Etsy, I think it's for about 12 years. Don't know what that means. Probably nothing much, but hey, it's news, so let's report on it. Right. Well, guys, that was the last one. It's not one to go to. That's the last page. Thank you so much for joining me. If you agree, disagree, or have any thoughts on the news for this week, pop it in the comments below, and I will see you next time.